I got to work on saying things to people out loud. Yeah, I got a problem. I just say what I see. I think I'm autistic, but just like the bad parts of it. You know? Like I can't compute numbers or remember dates, but I'll make you feel weird. Right? Like you drop a bunch of toothpicks, I can't count them, but I'll give you a hug. I'm working on it, trying to get better. Flew here from New York. Man, I hate flying. You know, they let you pick your seat on a plane. I think I'd rather pick the person I'm sitting next to. I don't really give a where I am on the plane. It's like a 5-hour relationship. Make it more like a dating app. Obese Nazi with a service dog? Swipe left. Okay. Tiny Asian lady with a surgical mask? That's my gal. Yes, she is not a talker, right? But just like a dating app, she shows up with a baby. I'm like, I got catfished. Hate the small talk. 2 things I can't do, small talk and eye contact. How sad is that, you know? I basically have all the traits of a serial killer, just without the ambition. I'm working on it. People always say, Mark, gotta be more confident. They say, Mark, gotta be yourself. I'm like, well, you gotta pick one. I can't do both of those. Like, a lot of people are scared of skydiving. I'm more scared of the banter on the plane than I am jumping out of it, you know? You sit in the plane, it's all windy, you're strapped in. Some guy's like, so, Mark, where are you from? Just like... It's like, we're supposed to go together. I got it. At least with skydiving, you get an instructor. What about stuff I'm bad at, stuff I'm nervous about, like a dinner party? You know how many dinner parties I've screwed up? Set me up with a pro, right? I just show up, some guy's like, all right, I'll take care of him. I'm like, beautiful. He's giving me tips. Don't say the N-word. Got it. All right. She's not pregnant. Don't ask. Thank God you're here. Some guy at the party's like, so who's your favorite comic? I'm like, Bill Cosby. He's like, pull the chute. I'm working on it. I had a chatty Uber driver last week. That's the worst, huh? This guy wouldn't shut up. I forgot that the no small talk option on the app, so I had to get creative. I had to scare the guy into being quiet. He's like, how about this traffic, huh? What do you think's causing this? I'm like, probably the Jews. He's like... I'm like, all right, I give this ride 5 stars of David.
Here's the most awkward thing I can think of. If you're ever around a couple who's been together for a long time and they're at a party and they start doing an impression of one another, just get the out of there. It gets mean so quick. It escalates. They know too much. You're hanging out, and they walk in, you're like, oh, look who finally got here, everybody. Mark and Brenda, finally. And Mark's like, well, you know, Brenda, is my hair perfect? Hey, that's fine, Mark. We're just joking around. It's fine. You can be late. It's all right. Nobody cares. And Brenda's like, you know, Mark, I got fired for being a racist last year. You didn't even do a voice, Brenda.
I'm from Virginia. I know, you guys are like, what? We thought you were from Paris. And I'm like, yeah, don't let this chic outfit fool you. I'm from Virginia. And my dad's job in Virginia, my dad paints the lines on the road. Yeah, paints the line. Yeah, I don't want to say street artist, but, you know, my dad's Banksy, so, you know, yeah. He loves it. He loves his job. He's very proud of his work. If you've been in Virginia, you've seen it, you know. And this is my favorite story ever. He calls me back when the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial was happening. Okay, he calls me. He's so excited. He's like, Courtney, you seen this Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial? And I was like, yeah, but why are you calling me about this? I swear to God, he goes, well, guess who painted the parking lot of the courthouse? You ain't the only one who's famous now, girl. He kept sending me pictures. Ignore Johnny Depp. Look how straight those lines are. He's the best. He's the best. He's a very manly man, very macho guy, very, you know, Irish Catholic and Southern. You know, we don't talk about anything, okay? Nothing. And so when I started going to therapy, I told my dad I was going to therapy, and my dad was like, okay, All right. Is it helping you? And I go, yeah, therapy's helping me, all right. He goes, okay, you tell your therapist I owe him a beer when I get up there. Okay, that's very nice, okay. And then I swear to God, he goes, or an apple martini. Yeah, that's a gay joke. Yeah, that's how masculine my dad is. He's like, any man thinking about his feelings must have a sweet tooth. You know what I mean? Me and my husband, we got him a bidet for Christmas. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. We got him a bidet last Christmas, okay? And when he opened this thing, he looked at us like we were trying to turn him gay. He was like, what the? He opens it. Okay, this Christmas, guess who has a bidet in every bathroom of the house? Yeah, and guess who's gay? Oh! Love wins! Thank you.
I'm expected in my 40s to have a lot more money than I actually do. The advertisers assume you've got money to spare. They kind of know what year you're from, so they're like, hey, remember when you were a kid and you had a Nintendo and you gave it up and you got a Sega Genesis? Well, similarly, it's time to hop out of that Mercedes and squeeze into a new BMW. You're in your 40s, and I'm like, please, calm down, please. I have a bus pass on me, and I know it has $14 on it because I'm using it. I have a reckless nightlife lifestyle. I eat junk food, I'm up late, I drink a lot. I'm here with all of you tonight. What do you think we're doing tonight? This is what it's like for me every night, okay? If I want to feel seen, I need advertisements that sound like they're for a luxury car commercial, but it's actually just for just junk food. Introducing the all-new Doritos D25i. A luxury snacking experience unlike any other in the impulse aisle. Expertly crafted with bespoke spices, xanthan gum sourced in the Alps mountains, and a sodium salt power of 150% of your recommended daily allowance. The Doritos D25i, with a surprisingly crunchy exterior and a sassy vitamin-rich interior. It'll have you reevaluating what is possible in a snacking chip experience. Drop into your Southern California Dorito dealer for a test taste today. Thanks. Yeah. I'm ready to sell out. I've got the voice for it.
Every summer, my friends and I, we would go to the fair, go to the Midway. I'm sure you probably know, on the Midway, there's a sort of notoriously janky haunted house, right? So every year, my friends and I would go into this horrible, dilapidated haunted house, and we would roast it. You know what I'm saying? Just four boys criticizing the lighting, the set design, the acting, real bad boy shit. So yeah, it was our senior year. It was like one of those high school movies, kind of bittersweet. We were like, we're all going to different colleges. This might be the last time we roast this haunted house together. We gotta savor this moment. And we walk in, and they go way faster than me. So I'm by myself, just criticizing left and right. And I turn a corner, and this guy dressed up as a werewolf gives the worst performance you've ever seen in your life. He jumps out. This is legit. He was just like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, come on, dude. I was like looking at him through the holes in his mask. I was like, that was the worst werewolf I've ever seen. And I've been to a lot of these, okay? You really got to step it up. That was pathetic. And he fucked me up. Like, he just kicked the shit out of me. It was crazy. He threw me against the wall. He's punching me in the ribs, slamming my head against the wall. Like, and you never expect that from a werewolf. I was getting beaten up, and people were walking by. I was begging people, passersby, get this werewolf off of me, please help me, I'm really getting hurt, help me. No one would help me, and it took me so long before I realized, of course no one's helping me, because they're turning the corner and they're just like, damn, they really stepped it up this year. That looked like a real werewolf attack. That little girl was really, really crying.
everything about doing stand-up comedy. I like the bad parts of doing stand-up. I like staying in the worst hotels I've ever seen in my entire life. Your Days Inns, okay? Your Quality Inns. Anybody familiar? No? All rich as hell? Okay, cool. That's good. Have you ever walked into a Quality Inn and you're just like, honestly, I would have gone for quantity at this point. You guys really messed up the quality part, if I'm being honest. I stayed at a Days Inn in Southwest Arkansas recently, not to flex on you guys. Do not want to brag. That had a loofah in the shower. How do we feel about that? Would you use a Days Inn loofah? No. Okay. So I didn't think that I would either. It was a long day on the road. I was feeling grimy. I used it, okay? I exfoliated. It was 6 or 7 minutes. I washed myself like a woman in a movie who was trying to forget a memory. Do you know what I mean? It was deep. It was severe. The next day I went to check out and the guy was like, "How was your stay?" I was like, "I really like the loofah. I think it's a nice touch." And he, of course, said, "What loofah?" I loved being in the South, though I'm from the South. Like Iliza said, I'm from Nashville. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. My first working years of my life, from the time I was 15 until I was 47 years old, I worked at a water park in Nashville, Tennessee called Nashville Shores Water Park. It's the home of water, sun, and family fun. If you haven't heard about it. I learned a lot of very important lessons from working at a water park. I do want to share some of them with you now. Okay, number 1, there is no right or wrong response to being called a bitch by a guy who is both soaking wet and eating a corn dog. Okay? That's not even a real person. Gloves are off, okay? You can say whatever you want to that guy. Number 2, if you're ever checking bags at a water park and you find a big old bag of weed, you just get to have that now. That's just yours. There's no step 2. Just get high, you know? Have a great summer. Hags, girl. Hags it up. Number 3, and I think maybe most importantly, if you think that someone might be a little bit too fat to fit into an enclosed water slide, it is cool if you just let them figure that out on their own, okay? Do not call them out. They'll call you a bitch while they eat a corn dog. They do it every time. Literally every time. I will never forget the day at that job that my boss told me to be sure to confiscate any guns that I found. He said, be sure to snatch up any handguns you find. I am still laughing thinking about what teenager making $6.25 an hour is taking a handgun from the kind of guy that brings a gun to a water park, okay? Can you imagine trying to take a gun from a water park guy and it going well? Just being like, "Sir, I'm gonna have to confiscate that." He's just like, oh my God. Egg on my face. I didn't read the rules. Of course. No, he's gonna shoot you, okay?
I don't fight anymore. The last time I got in a fight, I was it was 10 years ago. I was living in New York City, and I was walking in my neighborhood, in the Lower East Side, and I hear this guy behind me goes, "Hey, man, what are you looking at?" And I turned around, which don't do that. If you go to New York City and you hear somebody behind you yelling, you just keep walking. If it sounds like your mom, leave her. You just leave her. Cut her loose, okay? It was a crazy guy. He sprinted up. He got in my face. He goes, "I was talking to you, man. Don't walk away from me, man." I go, "I don't know who you are, man." And he punched me in the head. I should have seen it coming. He was winding up like it was cartoon. Like he was like Popeye. He's winding up and he hit me. And at that point, I hadn't been hit in about 20 years and I forgot what you're supposed to do. And then I remembered I used to practice fighting every day in college and I wrestled him. I did. I shot a single leg takedown to the right side. I picked his leg way up here like you're supposed to, and he went right down. He sucked. This guy, I guarantee you he never made it past districts. He just wasn't good. And I got on top of him and I lost my mind. I was like, "I used to wrestle! If somebody would have walked by, they would have been like, "There's a crazy guy getting beat up by a really crazy guy, And it's New York City, so people did start walking by, and it's New York City, so nobody cared. They're like, oh, it looks like Larry's losing tonight. Anyway, finally some guy walked by and he pulled out his cell phone. He started videotaping us, and that's when it all came flooding back to me. I'm like, I'm 46. I'm fighting in a major metropolitan area on the streets. There's going to be legal consequences. And it was the weirdest end to a wrestling match. I just go, hey, man, I got to go. Like, I just left. My mom said I had to be home by 8. Like, I just left, and he left, and nobody said anything. Like, the only guy that said anything was a dude with the cell phone. As I was walking away, he goes, yo, dog, why'd he hit you? I was like, because he's crazy. He goes, you a champ, dog. You a champ. And that made me, like, proud. I was proud. I was like, yeah, at least one person in this city knows I can still beat a heroin addict in a wrestling match if I need to. And I just, I went home and I was like shaken up. And I called my friend Mike, who had lived in the city for a long time. And we got to the part about the cell phone. And he goes, whoa, dude, this is on tape? I go, yeah, I guess so. He goes, dude, this is going to be the biggest thing in your career. I go, hey, man, I had a Comedy Central special. He goes, yeah, dude, but people are going to watch this. Like,
Pretty close to my son. My son and I bond. My son and I watch a lot of football together. That's how we got close. That's how a lot of men process emotions. We watch sports. Because the sports are up on the screen safely. That's where the emotions are. You're sitting on the couch. And you can almost like live vicariously through what's happening on that screen. Almost becomes like a metaphor for what's happening with you. Like I remember watching a football game this year, and we're on the couch. I'm like, wow, seems like Russell Wilson's having a hard time lately, huh? And he's like, yeah, I think Russell Wilson is having a hard time lately. I said, well, what do you think is going on with him? He goes, well, honestly, I just feel like the coach is pushing him too hard. He's just on his back all the time, and he just won't let... Well, that's probably because the coach sees how much potential Russell has. And he feels like it's his job to help him reach that full potential. Well, he should back off. It's too much. Well, you know, Russell's a free agent next year, and then I guess he can figure out where he's going to get his own money from. Dad, yes, son? I think Russell Wilson might be gay. All right, let's watch some hockey. Here we go.
There's a lot of rules now, right? You can't do a lot of stuff. But the one thing I won't do is I won't guess gender. I just don't do it. I go, hey, right when I was younger, I used to go, hey, you, and my mom would go, that is rude. Turns out it's the most woke thing you could ever say. Who knew construction workers have been ahead of the game this entire time? I was in San Francisco getting a coffee one time, and I walked in, and the person working had a name tag on, and it said Eric, and Eric had a beard. I don't pretend to know where Eric's life started, but that dude, I'm pretty sure he was a dude, right? And so I said, hey, Eric, can I get a coffee? And he goes, no problem. And I said, all right, just 1 pump of vanilla, please. And he goes, yep. And then he turned around and put 4 pumps of vanilla in it. And I go, that's going to be too much vanilla. I'm going to be eating Little Debbie zebra rolls with that coffee, and that's too sweet. So I was going to say, excuse me, sir, but instead of saying sir, I freaked out and held the S, trying to think of something else that started with S till I ran out of breath. I was like, excuse me, I'm a snake. And then I left without my coffee. I'm gonna retell that story in 3 chunks. Paid for coffee, told another person I was a snake, then I left without my coffee. And my friend waiting outside was like, where's your coffee? And I was like, snakes don't have hands, idiot! I was so embarrassed I held on to the lie for 2 more blocks.
Giving up is good, by the way. Giving up means you're being yourself. Just be yourself. It's way better. It's an easier way to live lives. Like I was one of those people that tried too hard. I was trying to dress cooler than I am. And you learn a lot when you do that. I learned you're not pulling off what you're wearing if someone says what you're wearing to you. Like recently, I wore a leather jacket, and my best friend was like, leather jacket. I was like, uh-oh. That's not how you say that. He said it like I had a weapon. He was like, he's got a leather jacket. Somebody get it from him. Every time I've tried to look cool as a person, I end up looking like those cell phone towers that are made to look like trees. You know, like, people, we see what you're going for, and it's not natural. We know it's you. Yeah, I'm not cool. I don't have any tattoos. You guys knew that. I don't have any tattoos. No one's ever like, really? I would have thought full back. I don't have any tattoos. I'm not against tattoos. I think they're cool on people. I just don't have tattoo brain. Every time I've ever put a sticker on my laptop, I'm like, oh my God, that's forever. What was I thinking? Oh, I just met that coffee shop. I don't have any tattoos, but this is true. People think I own a printer by looking at me. And they're right. That's not cool. That's not fair. I've had friends, this is true, that have never set foot in my home text me going, can I print something at your place? I'm like, how do you know I have one? That's what I'm giving off is toner vibes? My face says I printed my own boarding pass at home and it's right here. I got it. I don't like that. But yeah, I don't, you know, I'm not too worried about that stuff. My friends are, you know. I'm just like a hoodie guy. I like hoodies, you know. I will say every time I put a hoodie on, though, I feel like I'm being born. Yeah. Because it takes me a while to find the exit, you know. I'm making the same face, you know. I'm crying. My mom's there. Like, it's a lot, you know. But my friends, they're worried about that stuff still. They're trying to be cooler than they are. You know, I have sneakerhead friends. And that's okay if you're a sneakerhead, by the way. Just don't stop there. You know, because if somebody's complimenting you on just your shoes, that means they scanned your entire body and couldn't find anything until they got to your feet. You know, they're like, no. Hey, look at those shoes, buddy. Oh, starting from the bottom. Yeah. I'm not worried about that. My friends, I can't believe it. I have some friends that Ziploc bag their shoes and they put them in the freezer. Keep them fresh. It's true. That's wild, right? I feel like even if you told Jeffrey Dahmer that, he'd be like, what's in your fridge? Wow, you have a pair of Jordans. I just have the one guy.
Saddest song in the world is Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett. But not Margaritaville as it was written. You got to think about what Margaritaville is now. Because now Margaritaville isn't a fictional location where some made-up, relaxed dude like, I guess I screwed things up, whatever, que sera. Ooh, thatched-roofed huts, white sand beach, I'll get over it. No. Margaritaville now that you know it's a real brick-and-mortar restaurant that sits in the parking lots of shopping malls throughout the country. If you listen to the lyrics of that song, but that's the setting, that's the darkest shit you've ever heard in your life. Not some fictional island that's in the Caribbean. How do we get to it? Stolen jet boat? Maybe one of them airplanes that has hot dog buns instead of wheels so it can cruise right up onto the beach. No, Margaritaville number 218, St. Paul, Minnesota, let's say early February. It's a tail end of a lunch rush. It's a community college dropout behind the bar just wiping off laminate menus. And there's a man sitting at the bar by himself, openly weeping into a basket of coconut shrimp. Some people say. That's a woman to blame. But I know. This is my own damn fault. Hey, Terry, you want to get your together? There's families in here right now, bud. I get that you're a bit broken up, but we can't be like this. My assistant manager's here, and you're looking real overserved right now, all right? I can box this up, and you could eat it in your van, but I can't have this. That's a Pee-wee soccer team in the back room, all right? Let's get it together, okay? Can I get you anything else? I'm just looking for my lost shaker of salt. There's one on every table. What the f*** does that even mean, man? Why are you wearing up flip-flops? It's freezing outside. So Payless shoes across the parking lot. I'll give you the money for boots. That joke will be even better when I learn more lyrics to Margaritaville.
I now feel if you want to feel generally positive about the current state of the United States of America on a global cultural scale, what you need to do is you need to watch 90 Day Fiancé on TLC, because you watch that shit and you realize America must be doing something right, dude. Because people all around this world are lining up, doing whatever it takes, throwing it all away just for the chance to make it somewhere in the Midwest. They don't give a where they end up, dude. They'll do anything, up to and including marrying the biggest jabroni in the state of Ohio, gladly. They'll interview this guy on there. He's like, yeah, my name's Jason. I'm a 35-year-old dodgeball coach. And ever since my mom kicked me out, I've been looking for Miss Right, you know, like the type of woman that knows how to load the dishwasher and keep her mouth shut during Buckeyes games, that type of thing, right? And you're listening like, I don't like your chances, Jason. You don't seem like much of a catch to me. Then they cut to some beautiful girl in Estonia or somewhere like that, just like, Jason is man of my dreams. I often fantasize about being with him and eating hamburger helper off of paper plate.
I'm feeling good and I'm feeling chill. And that's huge for me. That's been my goal for a while now. I've been trying to make myself feel more chill. Which is a cooler way of saying I was recently put on mood stabilizers. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know what they do scientifically. My psychiatrist says the goal is to turn my moods into vibes. So I'm just kind of vibing out 24/7, doctor's orders. Mood stabilizers are great. I know they work because like the first or second week I started taking them, my wife and I, we went to Joshua Tree in California. I don't know if anyone here has been to Joshua Tree, but it's a dog shit town in the middle of the desert. Our last night in Joshua Tree, I looked at my wife and I was like, babe, it's our last night here. I'm gonna splurge a little. I'm gonna get takeout from the best restaurant in Joshua Tree. So I did a little research on Yelp, drove into town, got takeout from this beautiful little Italian restaurant they have there called Domino's Pizza. So I walk into this Domino's, there's already a man in line. So I stand behind him, I sort of nod at him, indicating I'm chill now. Take your time. And this man is just staring at the menu for so long. In his defense, there are 6 things. So he was overwhelmed by the menu. And eventually he looked at the young woman behind the counter and he went, excuse me, miss, do you guys make margarita style? And the young woman behind the counter, she was like, no, I'm sorry, we don't serve alcohol here. And And this guy is so condescending. He was like, no, margarita style. That's how we eat pizza on the East Coast. And I was like, hatred confirmed, you know? And this girl, she's trying her best. She goes, okay, well, can you tell me what margarita style pizza is? Because maybe I can make something similar for you. And he went, oh, I don't know. I don't know what it is. And it didn't stop there. They just kept talking. It was like 6 or 7 more minutes of these two morons trying to figure out what he thinks margarita-style pizza might be, hypothetically. And what he ended up ordering was so insane. He ordered a large Pacific Supreme pizza with pineapple, okay? Crazy, especially when I tell you it does not come with pineapple. He added pineapple. Because in his head, he was like, I think that's what makes it margarita style, you know? But I handled it really well. I really kept it together. All I did was every 30 or 40 seconds, I would just take a deep breath and go, just the most passive-aggressive sigh you've ever heard in your life. But for me, that's growth. Do you know what I'm saying? I hate to think what would have happened in that Domino's if I went in there unmedicated. Like the moment he added pineapple to his pizza, I would have been like, mm-hmm. And I would have walked over to the door and locked it, you know? And then just held the Domino's hostage. I would have put a pizza slicer to his neck, waited for police to arrive, and then I make the police negotiator tell this guy through the window that he just wants a cheese pizza. That's all he wants. He wants a cheese pizza with a little basil on top. He's too stupid to know he wants a cheese pizza. So anyway, I'm chill now. It feels great. I'm back. I work in television. I watch a lot of television. I think I have a pretty refined taste in television, actually. I mostly watch a channel called A&E, which stands for Arts and Entertainment. It's very classy. My favorite show on A&E, maybe my favorite show of all time, is a TV show called Intervention. Okay? If you haven't seen Intervention, how do I describe it? Well, it's basically a prank show. And the way it works is a production company descends on some awful little town, and they are looking for a huge drug addict, right? And they find a drug addict, and they go up to him, and they're like, hey, man, we heard you're pretty good at taking drugs. And he's like, pretty good, I'm the best, you know? I'm incredible, it's all I do. And they're like, awesome, well, I mean, would you ever consider getting high on camera? And he's like, it would be an honor. And then for the first 40 minutes of every episode of Intervention, they just follow this guy around as he gets so high on camera, like incredible. Like every episode of Intervention, there is a moment where you're like, this guy is a pro. Like I have never been this high. In the third act, that's when things get real, right? The third act, the guy's comfortable doing drugs on camera. He's friends with the crew. And the main producer comes up to him and he's like, hey, so I don't know if you're open to this. It's just a pitch, but have you ever gotten like super high in a hotel conference room? And the addict's like, no, but that sounds dope. Let's do it. I'm down, right? And he walks into the hotel conference room all proud of himself, and then boom, it's all his friends and family. They hold an intervention for him. Pranked, you know? It rules.
A couple years later, my brother came out of the closet as gay. Because that's the only way you can come out of the closet. He's gay. And we were terrified because Southie's a tough town. You've seen the movies, you know, The Departed, Good Will Hunting, you know. Everybody's scary. So my parents, I don't know why they did this, they gave him a bedroom in the basement. He was no longer in the closet. He's down by the Christmas decorations. But growing up there, when you're from Southie, you're one of us. Like everybody accepted him, and we had nothing to worry about. But it didn't stop them from asking me ignorant questions. One dude was like, does he ever try to touch your dick? And I'm like, no, Terry. Now I'm wondering what the family dynamic is in the Flaherty household. He's my brother, he's not your uncle. Another dude was like, why would you choose that? Why would you choose to be that way? Why would you choose that lifestyle? I'm like, it ain't a choice, you ignorant ass. You either are or you're not. Born with a gay older brother. And then another dude was like, because your brother's gay, that means you're gay. And I'm like, that's sound logic. What do you think, my parents are pure-breeding homosexuals? That would be a very interesting Dateline episode, wouldn't it? Lester Holt standing out in front of my parents' house. Some people pure-breed bagels. Others pure-breed Siamese cats. But with Sheila and William Fontana are pure-breeding in this 2-bedroom walk-up in South Boston, Massachusetts, got a couple of the neighbors raising an eyebrow.
The other thing happening in Los Angeles is I have a lot of friends who are into ghosts. I don't know anything about ghosts. I don't not believe in ghosts. I just have never met any ghosts. Ghosts are uninterested in me. I have a theory, probably unsubstantiated. Anyway, you have to be interested in ghosts to meet ghosts. I have the same theory about dolphins. I once accidentally swam with dolphins. Have you ever swam with dolphins? Yeah, someone needed a fourth, right? All of my friends were going. They needed a fourth person to bring the money down, so I went and signed up to swim with dolphins, and it turns out I could have lit $300 on fire. Because, I don't know if you've ever, but you're interrupting something. Their lives. You're interrupting their lives. They would like to hang out with other dolphins. Anyway, I will chase a dolphin or a whale. I'll go on a whale watch. I'm there. I will chase it, but I don't want to get involved. We don't need to meet. Have you ever gone to an aquarium where you get to pet a stingray? I did it once, and then I thought to myself, how would I feel if a hand came out of the sky and just started doing this? Nope. But I have a very good friend who knows about ghosts. She's a great comic. You ever get to see her do stand-up? She's a hilarious comic. Her name is Karen Rontowski. She also has a podcast called Paranormal Karen, where she knows things about ghosts. And she really does. She knows a lot of things about ghosts. I don't know anything about ghosts, but she was over at my house one time. And when she was over at my house, she said she thinks I'm afraid of ghosts. I am not. I don't know. So she said to me, you wouldn't want me to open this app in your house. It would tell you if you have any ghosts. And I said, app? Where'd you get the app? And she said, App Store. And I said, please open Ghost Radar in my home. Ghost Radar is just that. It's just a radar. Boop, boop, boop. And so she opened it. Guess what happened? Ghost! Right behind me. Weird. Anyway. So Ghost Radar, there's a ghost there's always a ghost, and then a word pops up, and that word in my house was red. And we had another friend over, and my friend said, I have a red sweater in my car. So what I'm saying is that maybe you see ghosts or meet ghosts or know things if you're looking for it. I have never met a ghost. Whenever anything might have been a ghost, I tend to go water heater. The house is settling. I don't know. The other thing is I'm not watching the correct television. I've watched more television in the last 16 months than I feel I've ever... I thought I was watching a lot of television. It turns out other people are watching different nonsense than I am. I'm watching some other nonsense. And then other people are watching great stuff that isn't the great stuff I'm watching. So there seems to be some judgment there. But no one's watching my nonsense. My nonsense is Axel. I don't know if anyone's seen Axel. Axel, A-X-L, it's an acronym. The first time I saw it was on the back of a chair on an airplane on mute. And that is how I recommend you see it. It's on Netflix. It's terrible. It's an acronym. Here's the story. The story is this. The Army has created a robot murder dog. He doesn't want to be a robot murder dog, so he runs away. And then he finds a friend who has a motorbike, and they run, and they play, and they jump. And I could have written this movie when I was 9. And it's a delight. It's horrible. Anyway, I'm going to ruin this movie for you because it can't be ruined. It's the dumbest movie in the world. The Army would like their robot murder dog back. He doesn't want to go back, so he blows himself up. Now, oh yeah, we can't handle it as a people. Even a robot murder dog dying in a movie, we cannot handle. There is 20 more minutes of movie after he blows himself up, where we find out that not only has he blown himself up, Axel has backed himself up on the dark web. Yahoo! He's coming back. Axel 2, ketamine, child brides for us all. The other show that I've been watching is Flavorful Origins. I would actually recommend this one. This one is a docuseries, each episode 10 to 13 minutes. It is set in China. It's about Chinese food in small towns in China. It's beautifully shot. It's called Flavorful Origins. And what they do is they go to a small town in China, so, 11 to 17 million people. And they show you what noodle or what potato or what meat that they're eating in these small towns, and it's beautifully shot and it's delicious looking, and I love Chinese food and I love food television, and so I watched it. But every 4 or 5 episodes there would be a food that I will not be eating. The last one I saw was the bile from the belly of a goat that then turned into stone soup. Everybody would bring a thing and make a big soup, and it was for festivals. And what this told me is that every country, every culture has had rich people say to poor people, you get nothing. And then someone's grandmother has had to take nothing and turn it into something delicious that we now pay $26 a plate for and only eat at Christmas. And hence, haggis was born, right? And chitlins were born, and lutefisk was born. I'm from Wisconsin. You people know in Minnesota, lutefisk is dumb. It's dumb. They're all dumb. They're all dumb. All of our ancestors are rolling over in their graves going, oh my God, eat the goat. What are you doing? There's a goat right behind you. We didn't want to eat the... Lutefisk, if you don't know, Vikings came to Norway. They burned a town to the ground. And there was salted, smoked cod. Something was underneath the ashes. And somebody's grandmother grabbed that piece of cod and was like, maybe if we bake it and then boil it and lye and we eat it, everyone won't die. It's gross. It's foul. My grandmother from rural Turkey, Armenian from rural Turkey, they weren't allowed to eat the grapes. They had to eat the grape vines and the leaves. And so somebody's grandmother back in time made dolmades, right? They were like, well, maybe if we boil these and then wrap whatever food we can find in this and then bake it, and dolmades come and then $26 a plate. But but there's vegetarian dolmades and there's meat dolmades. And to my grandmother's dying day, whenever she would get vegetarian dolmades, she would say yalanchi sarma, which is Turkish for liar's wrap. She was like, we live in America. There's a pound of ground beef around here somewhere. Why are we doing this? And I only tell you this because I live in Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles right now, I'm surrounded by poor people. And right now, someone is stealing a handful of hazelnut coffee mates and are going to make the most amazing bread pudding you've ever met in your life. And it's going to be available in about 6 months for $26. Los Angeles, this planet definitely wants to kill us. And I am sympathetic, but not supportive. I'm still using the planet. Last year in Los Angeles, we had murder hornets. Murder hornets. They're in the ecosystem. They're a bug. They kill other bugs. They have a reason to be. The weird thing about the words murder hornets, though, is that is what I've been calling the cops, Minneapolis. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I would posit this, is that murder hornets, the police, also have a point and purpose in the ecosystem. There are sometimes criminals who have giant bangbangs. Why don't you send a pile of murder hornets to deal with those criminals? You don't need a murder hornet for every crime. I get pulled over, I would like to see a social worker bee. I would like to see other insects. How about some caterpillars of community? You got loud neighbors, I would like to see a bunch of crickets. You got graffiti issues, I'd like to see some doodlebugs. We got a lot of homeless people in Los Angeles. I would like 1 million carpenter ants. Stacked. Yeah. Everybody would like a better web presence. Spiders all around. That was fun for me. Okay.
But let me offer you some advice that I wish someone had offered me before I had children, because I didn't know this, which is this. When you're traveling with your family, when you have children and you travel with said children through the airport, you can be randomly selected by TSA, who will suddenly decide to start peppering your children with questions to make sure that you are not kidnapping them. How fun's that? And I didn't know this was even a thing until it happened to my little family at Denver International Airport. We're traveling through the airport, ready to go. To give you an idea of my son Malcolm's desire to talk to strangers that day, let me explain to you his outfit. He was wearing headphones, not plugged into anything at all, fingerless gloves, and winter boots on a 95-degree day. I ask you, is that the outfit of a 3-year-old who'd like to dialogue with a stranger? I'd argue not. And yet, nevertheless, we're passing through security, and suddenly a TSA guy is in Malcolm's face. And he's just like, hey, son, what's your name? And Malcolm's like, Malcolm? He goes, okay, good. Is that your brother over there? He goes, yeah. He goes, what's your brother's name? He goes, Ellis. He goes, okay. Are those your parents? And Malcolm goes, I think so. Can you think of a worse answer than I think so? No is actually a better answer. No is like, it's an uncle, it's a godparent, produce some paperwork, get to the bottom of it. But I think so. That's what they've been telling me since they took me from the campsite 4 days ago. And when I say otherwise, they hit me so very hard. So I think so. And we were like, Malcolm, tell that dude where your parents, what are you doing? Tell him, where are your parents? And the guy's like, son, I'm gonna ask you one more time, and this is very important. Are those two your parents? And Malcolm goes, uh-huh. Like clearly under duress. Uh-huh, mm-hmm. And then they just let us through because they're TSA and they're inept. TSA is like, hey, what if we took the crew of a Times Square McDonald's, put them in charge of global security? What's everybody think? Good idea or not? We get through the x-ray machine miraculously. I'm retrieving my bag, and this other dad who was in line, he came up to me and he goes, I'm not gonna lie, dude, that made me nervous. I go, made you nervous? If I don't get these two to Reno by Tuesday, I'm out $150K. That's my year, bud. That's my year. The exception to the rule of Malcolm's shyness is women. He likes talking to women. In fact, he'll only talk to women, which I so get. Men are the worst. If I had the option of never talking to a man again my entire life, I would take that option. But men keep talking to me, and it feels rude not to respond, so I have to engage. My son, he's under no such societal constraints. He can talk to whoever he wants to talk to, and he's decided that's only going to be women. So the other day, we were at the park, and we were playing Delivery Guys, because my son will only play working class games. Yeah. Delivery guys, firefighters, EMTs, construction workers. Some lets me know he doesn't respect what I do for a living at all. So we're playing Delivery Guys. And a woman comes running through the park, right where we're playing. She's got earbuds on, she's jogging, she's minding her own business. And my son Malcolm, he just goes, hey, you! Yeah, like real delivery guy energy, you know? Just cat calls her, "Hey, you!" And she stops and takes her earbuds out. She's like, yeah, yes? He goes, "We're delivery guys." She goes, "Oh, yeah?" He goes, "Yeah, my brother, my dad, me, we're delivery guys." And she goes, "Well, what are you delivering?" And he goes, "We're on a break." Like, I'm not pretending to know my son's eventual sexual preference, but if he ever decides that it is in fact women, he's already gaslighting at a high school level. Once he figures out that women love it when you tell him to smile more, he's gonna crush. And I can feel a lot of women in the room not liking where that joke went. But I set up the joke by saying men are the worst, and then I ended the joke by giving an example of men being the worst. So I ask you, is it the joke that you don't like, or do you just hate foreshadowing?
I think I'm all set on family. I think I'm all good. I'm done. Family is my least favorite group project. Because it's like in school, there's always somebody who has to do the majority of the work, right? And it's never the dad. It's never the dad. It's not the dad. Everyone I know was raised by their mom and executive produced by their dad. Right? You need him to get the project made, but he isn't like in the editing bay. He's just showing up like, this is all my money's getting. So. I've been working on my relationship with my executive producer. And we had a breakthrough recently. He texted me, my dad texted me, and the text just said, "I trust you're doing well." And I was like, I guess my dad and I dated. We split up, it wasn't mutual, but it makes sense why we've been like this. I don't blame my dad, by the way, for us being a little distant. I was kind of a weird kid, you know? Like my favorite thing to do in the summer when I was 10 was watch The Price is Right. Yeah, great show, right? I mean, but also I thought it was helping my relationship with my dad. Because he was always like, "You don't know the value of $1." I was like, "Oh yeah?" "I bet you don't know the value of this brand new jet ski! Come on down!" Excuse me. How fun. This is so nice. For some amount of time, I haven't checked my phone. And I love that. Isn't that nice? I haven't looked at my phone this whole time. We're on our phones so much. We're addicted, right? I mean, I just said phone. And a small part of all of your brain was like, "Oh yeah, my phone. I wonder what it's doing. Does it miss me too?" It's like, we're on our screen so much, I'm worried that I'll have a kid and they'll like make eye contact with someone and I'll have to apologize. I'll be like, "I'm so sorry, he's an old soul." He was just diagnosed with attention span. I don't. I don't like big tech. This is why I don't like big tech. I don't like them. I also don't like that they call themselves big tech. Right? It kind of sounds like they made up their own nickname. Like they switched high schools. They wanted to seem cool. Like we're doing roll call for American Industries, and we're like, "Okay, oil and gas," and they're like, "Here." I'm like, "Okay, great." Technology? They're like, it's tech. It's actually big tech. It's actually big tech has a girlfriend. It's big tech has 2 girlfriends, but we don't use labels. It's big tech. Tech is big, and the biggest tech. So tech, big, tech. Okay, great, we got it. All right, and before we get started, is manufacturing here? And then the class is like, they moved.
Jew is a fun word, huh? It's a weird word. It's a last name. Did you know that? I went to Jewish summer camp with a kid named Ben Jew. That's a real person. And Joey Matzah. Those are real people. I sound like an undercover Klansman trying to just make up stuff. I'm like, yeah, I went to Jew camp with Ben Jew and Joey Matzah and Dreidel Bagelstein. But here is what I think is weird about the word Jew. Typically, a slur takes a proper ethnic term and shortens it. Like, I can't list them, but you know them all. But Jew is already compact, right? So people get weird. Like, am I allowed to say Jew? Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, Jew. Jew is fine. Jew is great. So long as it's a noun, right? I'm a Jew. You're a Jew. It's the adjectives and verbs that'll get you in trouble. Like, yeah, my Jew lawyer tried to Jew me out of $5,000. I'm like, whoa, no. My Jewish lawyer tried to jip me out of $5,000. See? It's better because it offends a smaller, less powerful group of people. That's a fun joke to tell. Because a lot of stuff has to go right? To even get the joke, you gotta know some stuff, some history, some etymology, and then to laugh, you have to be a bad person. So that sweet spot, just educated and amoral. That's the fan base I'm trying to cultivate.
You guys have those like obnoxiously named overpriced doggy daycare places around here? Those dumb names. Do you guys have any? Yell them out. What's the names of the places? Dogtopia. I was in Boulder, Colorado. They had one called Bonjour. And it's like, I bring my dog to a place, $50 to bring her to hang out for the day. And then they text me like to guilt me into buying add-ons for her. They sent me a picture of her, she's all sad. The other dogs are in the back like and drinking and smoking cigarettes. My dog. Dog's doing a keg stand. They text me, for $15, you could get your dog a compassionate CBD paw rub. Can you just make sure she doesn't eat? That's like really all we want. She doesn't need 12 minutes in the heated pool with a snuffle pad. Just please keep her out of traffic. That's all we want.
I'm glad we're traveling again. A few years ago, I went to Bangkok. Almost didn't go. Saw a video on YouTube called The Scams of Bangkok. This dude was a little paranoid. He's like, if you go to a museum and you see someone smiling, total scam. If you go to a restaurant, they have noodles on the menu, your identity's just been stolen. If you show up at your hotel, there's a front desk, call Interpol. Classic flim-flam.
I was racist in grade 1. Yeah. I didn't mean to be racist. I don't know why I did this. My best friend was a kid named Rami Jahari. That's how he said his name. I don't know why I did this. I wasn't trying to be funny. I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just a 6-year-old kid. He was one of my best friends, but I'd call him over every recess. Rami! Okay, let's try this. Did I say anything? Nothing? Okay, I got some other ideas tomorrow. I'll see you at recess. I did that every day. Then I go to his house for lunch. You ever go to an Arabic person's house for lunch when you're 6? It's terrifying. Everything they say, they sound angry. His father would come in the room. Rama! Mitayaka si tayar makaratia! Okay. My dad would like to know if you like peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch.
I think that horseback riding is quite overly descriptive for that activity. Because why do we have the word back in there? Like, you've all seen a horse before. Everyone picture a horse right now. Where else are you going to ride it? What other option is there? You're grabbing the tail and doing a little land ski? I guarantee you anyone who's ever tried to horse front ride has died. Cause of death, horse. What do you want to do this weekend? Oh, let's go horseback riding. Great. How are we going to get there? It's pretty far away. I guess we'll have to car inside drive. You know, in England, where they know a thing or two about the English language, they call it horse riding. And if someone came to you and they said, hey, you know, last weekend I went horse riding, you wouldn't be like, how? Can you be more specific? How were you arranged on this beast? Were you on top or was it a belly-to-belly type of thing? I just don't... I need a visual.
One night I was sitting around my apartment during the pandemic. One night, I mean, more than one, but that particular night, I decided to Google weird laws in Boulder, Colorado. Well, you know, I had some time. So, and this is true, these are all really laws in Boulder. You cannot graze your llama on public land in Boulder, you know? I swear that's true. And that bummed me out, I'm not gonna lie. I had to have a heart-to-heart talk with my llama. I'm like, I can't afford to feed you anymore. You're not allowed to graze on public land, so you're free to go, yeah? Oh, thanks, yeah. If you ever come across a llama wandering around Boulder, that's Bobby, you know? So, maybe try to point him in the direction of some private land and let him... All right.
I'll just get this out of the way. I am aware of my accent as well. I don't need you guys just staring at me, being like, where's it come from? Because that happens every show I do. The first 5 minutes, they won't let me be a person with thoughts. It's just a guessing game. They're like, is it Texas? No. Mississippi? I'm like, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. I just tell them, Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee. Every time I'm like, oh, you like a redneck? I'm like, absolutely not. It's highly offensive what you just said. Then they're like, you like a hillbilly? I relate. But if you meet an actual hillbilly, you have made a terrible mistake. You need to get off their property. They don't like that. That's like their only rule. Get! Oh, he said get with an I. Go, go. I get it. They also want to know, too, like, especially people that have never been to the South, fascinated, like, what's the South really like? What's it really like? I'm like, well, it's probably like 8 or 10 of the coolest cities, full of the coolest people, very just unique and just a meld of different human beings and cultures. It's amazing. And the rest of it is exactly what you've heard. But more intense than you can imagine. And then they're always like, well, what's the worst part of the South? I'm like, Alabama, before you finish that question. You guys know, all right. And they're always, every time though, they're always like, well, what about Mississippi? I'm like, that's not their fault. Historically, the worst education system in our country since the start. They don't know any better. In Alabama, they know better. They just don't give a shit. That got applause in Birmingham. It's not what I was going for. I was trying to shame them. And they were like, that's us. Yeah. Roll Tide. I know how the accent sounds. I'm aware. It sounds dumb. I get it. It's a scam. We're all running. People think we're way dumber than we actually are. It's the opposite of the British accent. Think about it. Yeah, they sound smart, but if you listen, you're like, oh, you're dumb as hell. I get it. There's certain words I shouldn't say. Makes people uncomfortable. Like my wife is Jewish. Just saying that, people are like, hey, easy. Careful. I'm like, what? I married a Jew. People are like, I know you can't say that. Like, you can't say that. We just had a baby. I made a Jew. People are like, I gotta get out of here. He's trying to get people fired. Don't go over there. I did. I made a Jew, you guys. You can applaud. That's cool. It would have been weird if you kind of applauded and then didn't. You guys came through. I didn't know growing up I could make a Jew. I didn't know. But I can, and I did. Pretty cool. What happened was my wife is Jewish, and her vagina also Jewish. And the baby came out of there, Jew. It's science. And religion, I think. I don't understand. It's confusing. I don't ask a lot of questions. But he's got blonde hair and blue eyes. I Nazi-proof that son of a bitch. You can laugh out loud. That's a good thing I did. You guys can enjoy yourself here at the comedy show. Feel free. That joke 3 or 4 years ago was just historically funny, and then it got relevant again. I'm just saying, I did not see them making a comeback. I didn't. Fascinating. 3 or 4 years ago, people laughed and were like, that's funny. Now people laugh and like, that's good you did that. I get this question a lot because I sound like I do and then I say the stuff I do. How'd you get that way? It's confusing. You sound, like you sound, but the stuff you say is not from where you're from. Like, I had to evaluate it, and it's like, I think it's because my parents are pretty cool people. Like, my dad's a football coach and teacher. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I called him before he retired like a couple years ago. I was like, hey man, what do you do during the day? He's like, you need to mind your own business is what you need to do. Yes, sir, coach. My mom's an English teacher and a maniac. That's what she does. Sure, her name is Storm. Yeah, that's weird, right? I was in my 20s before I was like, that is weird. Because when you're little, you're just like, I guess everyone's mom's named after an American gladiator. That's how it is. That's Steven's mom, Laser. I lived in Seattle for a while, and they came to visit my parents. And there's a WNBA team there named the Seattle Storm. And I was like, is there anything you guys want to do while you're here? Like anything special? And my mom was like, I want to go see that Seattle Storm play. And I was like, why? She's like, because their name's I hate you so much. Smart ass. I was like, professional smart ass. I had no interest in going in the game, and my dad was like, I like fundamental basketball. You gotta listen to him. He's kind of mean. So I got him tickets. They went to the game. They came back. My dad walked past me like nothing happened. I was like, hey, Mom, what's going on? How was the game? It was great. I think I might be homophobic. What happened at the game? She's like, well, they were great seats. Oh, thank you so much. We're down close, and action started happening. We were having fun, and then there was like a timeout, and then there were a lot of lesbians. lesbians there. I was like, you don't have to whisper that word. That's their preferred word. She said, okay. Well, there are a lot of, I can't not whisper it. I don't know why. I was like, okay, there are a lot of lesbians there, Mom. Yeah. And she was like, yeah. And then when there's the time out, they'd all start making out and like their tongues going everywhere. I was like, oh, I don't like this. I was like, huh. Well, if there had been a bunch of straight couples there making out during the timeout, would that have bothered you? Yes. Stop making me see your tongue in public. I don't like that. I'm like, oh, Mom, you don't like public displays of affection, PDA. You're not homophobic. And she was like, oh, thank God. It's in there. I didn't like it, but it was in there, you know? And that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is how I am the way I am. Because my neurotic mother, my whole life, has been like, have you worried about something that doesn't exist and can't happen yet? She go worry about that.
Living in Philadelphia means I have mice in my home. It comes with the deed. And on the lease, it's my wife and I and 17 mice. You're going to roll your eyes at this, but my wife and I were animal lovers. So we don't have the traps that kill the mice. Thank you. But we have the traps that trap the mice, and then you drive them 7.5 miles away because apparently someone drove them 7 and they came back. One of the most degrading trial and error situations, I would imagine. So you rehome them. You rehome the mice. That's what you do. And it's weird. I've been working my entire life to become a professional stand-up comedian, and now it turns out I'm just an Uber for varmints. That's what I put on my taxes. Uber for varmints. I have 20,000 dependents spread throughout the city. They say it's the humane thing to do, though, not to kill them. What they don't tell you is how weird you look when you drive into a random neighborhood, get out of your car, and then just release mice into it. Be free! I did the other day while a school was getting out, and this little girl turns to her dad, and she goes, oh my God, Daddy, is that a wizard? Because no, he's more of a male witch if you get to know him, actually. That's more of his vibe. I've been going down to this place called the Jersey Shore a lot since I moved back to the East Coast. If you don't know what it is, it's like the beach where people from Philly and New York go. And there's a place in particular that I've been going. It's called Ocean City, New Jersey. And yes. And I've been going on, like, that's gonna have to be cut out, what I just did. We can't have it. Oh. They blur it out, you know, it's so humiliating. Like, my apologies to the editor of this special. I apologize. So I've been going down to Ocean City, New Jersey a lot, and they had this issue where this is a real thing. Seagulls were dive bombing people on the boardwalk, and they were knocking food out of their hands and knocking hats off ladies' heads. So the local government in Ocean City, New Jersey, their solution to this, after much deliberation, was to hire a birds of prey company to release hawks into the air to go to war with the seabirds? What the f***? That was your solution? And one of my favorite things to witness in life is this thing that I call the I f***ed up at work walk. where you messed up at your job and you have to tell your boss, and you're not going to get fired, but he's going to be a real piece of about it. So you're kind of just trudging, you're bummed out. And I saw a guy doing that on the boardwalk, and I will paint a colorful description as to what this man looked like. In his one hand, he had a little hood. How little? You might be wondering. A hood so little it would fit perfectly on a hawk's head. And on his other hand, he had a big, scary, thick leather glove going up to his shoulder. And this next part, I feel like I actually don't have to say because you're probably already picturing it in your head, but just in case I'm missing some people, long gray ponytail down his back. You saw it? We saw it. We all saw it. And this guy's trudging. And he goes up to his boss, who looked exactly like him, except his long gray ponytail was like 6 inches longer, to show rank. Excuse me. And our first guy, he goes up to his boss and goes, "I messed up!" And his boss goes, "What happened?" And he goes, "I lost the bird!" And his boss goes, "How do you lose a bird?" And I go, "May I interject?" It's a bird. I would imagine, is it the wings? Did it use its wings? Its God-given wings? Oh, okay, they flew away, you idiot. That's how. I'm not a business expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I would imagine part of the risk assessment when you open up a hawk company. Some of them are gonna fly away. They're gonna fly away. Hey, you lose a bird. Oh my God, it hit me over the head with a fish, stole my iPhone, hailed an Uber, and drove away.
Last year for spring break, we did Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Been to Gatlinburg? If you've never been, let me tell you about it, all right? Gatlinburg is an American Indian word. It means land of the couples that wear matching airbrush t-shirts. I don't know if that's accurate, but it's accurate. And they always pick the same design, too. This is what it looks like. It's a silhouette of a much skinnier couple than the people who are wearing the t-shirts. And on the shirt, this couple, they're holding hands. They're in love, you guys. Their feet are in the sand. They're under a palm tree. There's a rainbow sunset on what is clearly the ocean in the background. Then they just write Gatlinburg across the top so that you know which of the islands in the Smoky Mountains that they visited, right? They're not smart people. But it's great for people watching. If you like to people watch, this is your spot, okay? I don't know if you enjoy it or not, but man, there's no better hobby. It's free. You just sit there with someone you love and talk about the trash walking by for a couple hours, right? Gatlinburg is prime pickings. I mean, there's not that much white trash in a dumpster behind a paper plate factory. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's special. I love people watching so much, I take pictures when I do it and trade them with my friends like they're baseball cards. Now, if you're into something like that, let me just give you a tip. Make sure that the flash and the sound on your phone are turned off, which I know sounds like a no-brainer. Guys, I've been doing this a long time. I messed up bad. I'm in line for security at the airport. I'm going this way. Coming at me is a gentleman. Hawaiian shirt, shaved face, but out of the top of his shirt was this perm, I don't know the right, a tuft. It was the brightest, whitest, bushiest chest hair I've ever seen in my life. And I've been to Sarasota. This was next level, dude. It was teased, possibly bleached. He looked like a Build-A-Bear whose neck had been slit to send a message to the other Build-A-Bears to pick it up because numbers are down, right? And I knew if I didn't get a picture of him, I wasn't gonna be able to sleep that night. But here's the rub. I couldn't do it from this distance and this angle. No one's gonna see how awesome it is. If I want some likes, I gotta time it so that when he's passing by, I can get that side view, the profile. So to do that, I have a face I make. It's very simple. The only thing I'm trying to convey with this face is what? I'm just checking Twitter, even though my phone's kind of pointed in your general direction. He stops right here. I hit the button. It's like, blick, flash. I was like, there's a Pokemon on your shoulder, sir. Just hold on. We'll get it. Just be careful, okay? The other tip, if you're going to take pictures while you people watch, is to make sure that you have a full battery. Charge up. Because that's what happened to me in Gatlinburg when I went to go people watching. I was at my favorite spot to do it there, which is the old-fashioned candy kitchen. I love that place because no matter what time of day you show up, you're going to see the same thing. There's going to be a hillbilly pressed up against the window who can't figure out how they're making taffy on the other side of the window, and it's the greatest day of their life. They're just like, what? Nuh-uh. Hey, come look. Come look. It's where they make it. The taffy for Cracker Barrel. Yes, right here. I don't know how they do it, even though I can see the whole process. This is... I saw her standing there a block away. The Mickey Mantle rookie card of people watching. I got so excited, I was like, I've heard about you. Oh, you are coming home with me. Easy, girl. Easy, girl. I'm not going to hurt you. Got close enough to take the picture, press the button, just a dead battery sign. What? No! I scared her. She ran back into Ripley's, believe it or not. Believe it or not. And I just sat down on the bench right there in between the Pancake Pantry and Fanny Farkle's arcade. I was so mad. All this time I tracked her. I just let her get away. I wish I could pull up a picture so you could see how awesome she was, but I can't because I was careless. So I'll just describe her as best I can. She had early 1990s hair. Remember that look? Pull back tight in a ponytail, but in the front. In today's news, that thing defied all logic and gravity. I always wondered how that was formed, Because I always only ever saw the finished product, and then I showed up too early for homecoming one year. And there she was in front of the big mirror. So that was that lady's hair, okay? She was so perfect. She looked like someone that might frequent a Long John Silver's / Kentucky Fried Chicken, the 2-in-1 fast food restaurant. You ever go to one of those places? Another great spot for people watching. I don't know what it is, but the average redneck brain cannot process that there are two businesses operating behind one counter and sharing the menu space above. And the first time they see it, it just catches them off guard. They're like, okay, could I get a... Okay, what happened here? Am I in a food court? Like, what? I want chicken. I can order from both of them. It's the same company. Oh, I didn't. Okay. Wow. Okay, well, I'm getting a family meal deal. I get 2 sides. Could I get a side from this side and then a side from that side? I can? Okay. Well, extra biscuits. I knew that before I came in here. And what does Long John Silver's have? Hush puppies. Ooh, can I do that? 2 breads? I can? Oh, yeah. Let's go there. And I was wondering, like, what is the big thing here, you know? Because I know that you think I'm joking just for the sake of doing comedy. I'm not, okay? Sit by the register in one of these 2-in-1 fast food spots. 10 minutes tops, you'll hear a sentence that has never been formed in the history of words. It's because there's too many options and people aren't prepared and they get up there and then a line forms behind them and they get nervous and they're like, do green beans go with tacos? Like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. It's the best. It really is the best. If you're gonna do it, and I recommend you do it, just make sure half of wherever you go is Long John Silver's, because that is the place that brings them out, okay? At any Long John Silver's, you will hear a grown man ask for extra crumbs, which I feel is just a new low for our society. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Long John Silver's is a fast food seafood restaurant. And what they do is they take chicken and fish and they dip it in a batter and then they put it in the fryer. And when they flip it out of the fryer, little pieces of that batter break off. And then a pile of all those little pieces form. And then people go, hey man, can I get a scoop of the stuff that thing's been laying on? You can put some of that in my treasure chest? And when I heard it, I was like, did that guy just ask for more crumbs? She pushes a button on the register. Boop, crumbs, 10 cents. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. What? How often does this happen? I mean, I thought I could be witnessing the first time in the history of Long John Silver's where some guy's like, I'm so embarrassed to tell you this, but I'm a little short on cash. I got a long drive ahead of me. I'm so hungry. Could you just, I don't know, put some of that stuff into a cup? I could snack on it. No, it happens so much. It has been programmed into the register. Think about that. If whatever you want to call that stuff has its own button, which I'm pretty sure we'll all agree was not in their original business plan, that tells me there was a day that something happened. At some Long John Silver somewhere, something happened to bring us to where we are. And as a people watcher, I'm just sad I wasn't there to see it. Because I pictured it in my head 1,000 times, right? Some toothless manager just comes storming out of the back. Hey, somebody's gonna have to start paying for these crunchies, all right? I can't be giving this stuff away. I mean, if everybody's gonna ask for it, we gotta figure something out, all right? I don't know how to make it. It's an accident. Y'all just love free stuff. That's why we got rid of tartar sauce pumps and switched to packets. 2 per customer. Y'all were just pumping it right into your boats. Nobody needs that much tartar sauce. Nobody. I'm sick of it. And he tries to slam that door, but it's that metal kitchen door, right? Now you can just hear him in the back. I ain't settling down, Ricky. I'm sick of this. They don't pay me to put up with it. I'm so mad my hand's shaking. I'm supposed to bowl tonight. Now what? I'm done. I said it before, but I mean it this time. I'm done. You watch. As soon as I can afford that lift kit and them Luke Bryan tickets, you ain't ever gonna see me again. I'm out. Well, of course I'm going. Florida-Georgia line's opening. I ain't gonna miss that show. They're the only 2 dudes that even settle me down right now. You do that? All right. Well, then you take the Nelly part. You make me wanna roll my window. Look. You're kind. You're very kind. All we just learned is that I've thought way too much about an incident at a Long John Silver's that probably never happened.
And it's really exciting to be able to tell this joke where people understand what a garage refrigerator is. It's wonderful, okay? Because I live in Los Angeles right now. And when I talk about having a garage refrigerator to a Los Angeles audience, all they hear is 2 refrigerators. Someone must have grown up a billionaire. And I have to correct him. I'm like, oh no, you don't understand what a garage refrigerator means for most of the United States. A garage refrigerator simply means you finally got a new refrigerator. And then you said, don't throw the broken one away. That's for weird shit now. That's for things that should get cold, but if they don't, that's still okay. That's for things we don't want around the everyday milk and eggs, you know? That's for more loose deer meat in a Ziploc. That's what we're gonna put out in the garage refrigerator. Stuff from your neighbor, that goes in the garage refrigerator. You know what I mean? Your neighbor Gerry shows up, he's like, you want any of this meat? Nah, I shot him. Like, you wrecked your car, Gerry, you hit that meat, I know that. That's hit me.
I grew up with a thick Wisconsin accent, but I had no clue I had a Wisconsin accent until Siri first came out. Remember that? I was like, hey there, Siri, how in the heck are you? Hey, tell your folks I says hi. Listen, I'm looking for directions to the nearest Fleet Farm, okay? I think they got one over there by the Quick Trip, and honestly, I gotta fill my gas, okay? So why don't you get me directions to Fleet Farm, and then the Quick Trip, and if there's a Culver's in between there, I won't be mad, okay? And you know, there are a lot of other iPhone users out there, and I want you to know that I know that. So if you got to, go ahead and get to me last, okay? Boop! Dialing 911. You are having a stroke.
Here's a sport I can't watch. Baseball makes me want to die. Nothing happens, and it happens slowly. And the players don't care. They finally put a clock on it, but they need more clocks on it. It's the only sport where the players don't charge onto the fields. They just take their time. Everything is taking their time. They just kind of meander out. Shoelaces untied, they got a big gulp, smoking a cigarette. And you're like, all right, I guess we're gonna start. And they're like, nah, we're gonna play catch for about 5 minutes. While you guys wait. We're gonna throw some grounders, play a little catch. Matter of fact, we're gonna do it every time we switch sides. Catch starts again. So you watch that, and then you're like, all right, I guess now we're finally gonna start. No. Now we're gonna watch a guy in a magic white circle practice swinging a bat. He's been swinging it since he was this big, but he's like, how's this go again? Like, huh? Like that? True? And then finally he steps up to the plate and you're like, all right, now we're gonna go. And after 10 seconds, he's like, time out. I just need a couple more. I haven't quite, this. And then he finally digs in and now we're gonna go. No, we're not. Now the pitcher and the catcher, they got a little game they like to play. Where the pitcher looks at the catcher and he goes, guess which pitch I'm gonna throw? No, that's not it. Guess again. No, warmer. No, f all these people. Who gives a shit? Keep guessing. Finally, he gets it right. The guy throws the pitch. Batter doesn't swing. Whole thing starts all over again. Bullshit. Get rid of the catcher. Get a bucket of balls and just start whipping balls at the guy. Not next to him. What is that? Throw it at him. If you can hit him, he's out. That's the rule. Now he's gonna swing at every pitch just to defend himself. And no more resting on each base. Oh, I'm safe on the bag. No, what are you, 7? Keep running. You keep running until you're tackled by a guy from the other team who's carrying the ball. And a bat. Every player should keep a bat in their hand throughout the game. I want to see 18 guys jacked up on steroids, frothing at the mouth, swinging bats at each other. That I would watch every night.
I'm falling apart, and I know what it's from. It's from Little Debbie zebra rolls. I've ruined my body by eating a mass-produced snack cake. That's the decision I've made. But they're amazing. They're so good, and some of you might be thinking, oh, I love Little Debbie zebra cakes. Not what I said. You can shove the cakes up your ass. Figuratively, of course, because they're hexagons. Can't shove a hexagon up your ass, and if you can, you're doing Kegels wrong. In my opinion, Little Debbie zebra cakes, it's not enough cake and it's way too much frosting. And the frosting is plasticky, so it gums up on the roof of your mouth, and you have to try to scrape it off with the back of your tongue. That makes you look like an idiot, because that's how they made animals talk in the movies. Where's your mom? We'll find her. But what Little Debbie has done is she's taken this cake, which is a great idea in theory, and she's turned it into a roll. She's streamlined it to the perfect ratio of both cake and frosting. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know if Little Debbie's a real person or not, but if she is, she's a It's a tough word to say when you're at half capacity already. Because I know I'm going to lose people when I say that word. And by people, I mean white ladies, and that's fine. And also men sitting next to white ladies that now have a "Don't You Dare Laugh" pinch mark on their inner thigh, right? It's like,
I'm sorry. I know you told me before we left.
have you ever had Little Debbie zebra rolls? You haven't? Well, welcome to tomorrow. You're diabetic? Yeah, me too. My foot hurts. I would rather hop on one foot for the rest of my life than give up Little Debbie zebra rolls. They're even perfect for the pandemic because you don't have to really grab them that much. You have to get it to your mouth, and as soon as you do, you can just flat palm that and shove it in like a wood chipper. You don't even have to chew it if you don't want. It's the same shape as your throat. You can just shove it in. And if one gets stuck, unwrap another one, knock it loose. It's like you're putting batteries in a flashlight. It's incredible.
Having a disability it's interesting because people always want to help me with stuff. And that's so kind. I do appreciate it. But here's the deal. For the most part, I got it, you know? Another thing about me is I'm not afraid to ask you for help. Like, I know my limits. Like, let's say there's a pot of hot soup that needs to be carried. I'm like, hey, please, you know, thank you. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. But what I've come to find is that more often than not, people are like, hey, can I pour that for you? And then they spill it, and I'm like, well, I could have done that. And you robbed me of my independence. That's actually the funny part. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, this right arm, he's a busy boy over there. Very busy appendage, for sure. It's like living with a raccoon or something. Yeah, the sun goes down, he got some shit to do. He's over there scurrying around. I still don't even know where he got the watch. Yeah, the little won't let me look at it either. Like at night, I'm trying to sleep, and this thing is just up, you know, just writing emails. You know. I'm like, who could you possibly be writing to? Probably some clubfoot in Kansas. You know. That's a pretty hard correspondent right there. I can't imagine a clubfoot types too well. I don't know why I say this shit, man. I've been doing comedy pretty much my whole adult life. I did have one day job out of college. I worked for 6 months at a day program, which is basically a daycare for adults with severe mental and physical disabilities. And, you know, I really have had so much help in my life. So my thought was like, let me go back in the world and give some of that back. And I worked there for 6 months, and that is because I couldn't take anymore. And now let's just be clear about the situation. Had nothing to do with the people that came in for the services. The problem is, every morning they would come into the facility on the short bus. And I gotta tell you, there was nothing that I could do to convince the driver that I worked there. I go, all right, man, thanks. I got it from here. Okay, buddy. Who's a good helper? Who's a good helper? You're a good helper. Why don't you go inside? Go get a person. I'm like, I'll break your wrist, sir. All my new coworkers just looking out the window, laughing their ass off. Send them out again. 6 months of that shit. I snapped one morning. I picked up a helmet and I put it on and I got on the dude's bus. I was like, take me home. I'm done here, I'm done. And now I do comedy.
I celebrate the differences between Jews and non-Jews. If you don't think there are differences, you're out of your mind. There are. If you don't believe me, go to Home Depot. Go to Home Depot. Home Depot is a code. It means Jews, you have no business shopping in here. Everyone that's not Jewish walks in there, they know exactly what they need. I need a 3x2 bipipe with reversible threading and a drip clamp and the guy's gone. Jews walk into Home Depot, they look constipated. And then a half hour, does anybody work here? Does anybody work here out of pity, out of Rachmanis? They come over to help us. What are you looking for there, Jew? And we have no idea what the stuff's even called. I'm looking for the thing that goes inside. It's the piece that goes in before you put the other, you screw in the piece that's in. Oh, an anchor, that's it, an anchor. Beth, it's called an anchor. Yes, my neighbor, the guy, is gonna help me put shelves up, which is one of the nicest ways to use the word guy.
Here's the thing. I love that kid so much. I really do. But at the same time, and I'm 100% sincere when I say this, I also resent her. I really do. Because she's rich. She's a rich kid, and I know it's not right. I know it's a leftover hangover prejudice I had since I was a kid. I grew up really poor, and I was always suspicious of rich people. I didn't get it. I didn't like it, and I just didn't like rich people. I still don't, you know. And I'm rich. You know. I mean, I'm not rich. I pay my taxes, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean, and.
Every moment in my childhood was a crisis. It didn't matter how insignificant. Everything was a tragedy. It was like growing up in an opera. It was like, you took my keys. You took my keys. I know you took my keys. I did not. The toilet's clogged. Again. Bring me the plunger, I will fix it. Get it yourself, I am not your slave. I will plunge a toilet. What do I see? It's my keys. Yeah. They're out of their minds, my parents. Bunch of screaming Italians who are all law-abiding citizens as far as you know. That's the culture I grew up in. I basically grew up in a crime family without the money, power, or influence. Yeah, just the fear and paranoia, that's all I got. Yeah. My Uncle Tony is a little shady. We used to call him Uncle T. The police called him a person of interest, but Yeah, I remember once he was staying over the house, right? It's early in the morning. He's downstairs in the kitchen. I came down the stairs. He looked at me and goes, what? Come here. What? Come here. What? Get over here. You want eggs? What? I'm making eggs. You want eggs? Yeah, I'll have some eggs. Shh, I don't want the neighbors to know I'm making eggs. Like the neighbors are gonna kick the door open. Like, where's the eggs, Tony? Where's the eggs? Don't you move, Adam. Get the cheese. I want an omelet. I want it now. To this day, every time I make eggs, I gotta lock the door. Every omelet I make has tomatoes and fear in it. I think of my Uncle Tony every time I tie a tie. Yeah, I was a little boy. He taught me how to do it. He said, hey, come here. Let me show you how to do this. You take the tie, right? And you talk to the two ends of the tie. And you tell them what you want them to do. You go, hey, you two guys. You go around the alley, you go up the back stairs. Cut across the roof, you come down in front of the awning like you didn't see nothing. Then you walk, you do not run, you do not look back, and you meet above the belt buckle and make sure everything is even Steven. Now we take a pair of scissors and you cut the back of the tie off. This way nobody can choke you with your own tie. I was 12. Do you see where the paranoia in my life might have come from? I was making my confirmation. Father Dominic's in the back room like, boys, it's a big day for all of you. God loves each and every one of you. Adam, look how handsome you are. Let me fix your tie. I panicked, dropped, and swept the leg. I did that joke on TV and I got a bunch of mean tweets. You were painting the Italians as criminals. There's an insult to us. Shut up. Really. I mean, the biggest insult to the Italian people is the Olive Garden. I mean, come on. Seriously. That escaped your notice and you're coming after me? Come on. It doesn't even look like an Italian restaurant. No self-respecting Italian restaurant's gonna have a window that big so people can drive by and aim.
And this is strange, but my entire family and I, including my mom, are actually world champion foosball players. Yeah, thank you. And my mom is in the Foosball Hall of Fame. Yeah. But every time my mom gets a new nurse, the nurse will always ask her about her life. And my mom always goes, well, I'm in the Foosball Hall of Fame. And every nurse goes, sure you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm always standing there like, oh, yeah, no, I know that sounds made up, but I swear it's real. And the nurse is like, hey, you don't have to. And I'm like, lady, I swear to God, I can show you her trophies, I can show you a video of her playing. And that's when the nurse starts to look at the other nurses like, oh, does the daughter have dementia too? It's like a T-Mobile family plan of dementia. It's like too weird to believe. And my mom growing up was also somebody you did not want to cross. My parents got divorced in the 90s, back when there were home phone answering machines. And before the divorce, our answering machine message was my dad saying, you've reached the Cooks, please leave us a message. And then after the divorce, my mom had changed it to her just blasting Alanis Morissette's You Oughta Know. So every time my dad would call, my mom would let it go to the machine so that if he wanted to leave a message for her, every time, he first had to sit through the lyrics, and I'm here to remind you of the mess you left when you went away. I mean, that's a bad move right there. That takes balls. Because it's not like that was just the message for when my dad called. That was the message for literally anybody who called our house. So after a while, we started to get messages from people like, hey, this is Dave from Blockbuster. And I'm here to remind you. Your Space Jam VHS is overdue. Really sorry about whatever you're going through.
Remember the first couple months of the lockdown as just some real dark days? Yeah, I just thought I'd bring you back there. I remember the first couple of months of that lockdown, the whole world's caving in around me. All of us, we don't know what the hell's going on. You lost your job, you're locked in your house with your kids. Just washing your mail and I tell you, man, I found myself doing all these childhood activities, like doing puzzles and playing board games and crying. Maybe throw in some long showers. Sometimes I'd cry in the shower. Just multitasking. I'll tell you this about the pandemic, like, I would rather cry than do a puzzle. I'd rather eat a puzzle. 1,000 pieces, no problem. And then in the morning, I at a rustic farmhouse. Which is weird, because it was a puzzle of a kitty. Something ain't right down there. Something's off. So stupid. All right.
I just don't trust anyone who's never worked a job where they thought about killing themselves at least once. Like, at least once. Like, once. You're just like, this could all end, and I can end it right now. I'm not even clinically depressed right now, but what if? What if I just killed myself, That thing where you're like, God damn it, I got 5 hours left in this shift. Or, swallow 25 aspirin, I don't know, whatever it takes. When you're bar backing, all you're doing is washing glasses and putting them away. Just stack them, put them away. And there's 2 or 3 bartenders that are slammed, and you're not allowed to make drinks. And there's beers and ice in front of you, and taps and liquor bottles behind you, and people are just like, just get me a drink. Just pour some whiskey in a cup. It's right there. There's a beer right there. God damn it. You're like, I can't. Please stop yelling at me. I'm not allowed. I'll be fired. Please, sir. What are you, a stupid monkey? You're just like, God damn it. I remember looking down at a stirring fork and being like, all it would take is just 2 right there. Just right there, and just bleed out in front of this dickhead, looking at him, sit on a stool and be like, you did this. Just break all his drinks in half with my face and slide down the bar. Clean this up. Just die right there, staring at him, still dying. All behind the bar. You're cleaning this up, sir. You are. I don't know what you said. It crosses the mind, Absolutely. But I think those jobs hone you and make you into the person you're supposed to be. If you've never worked a crap job, you know, that's bad because you're not your truest self, you know? I think it's like MMA or something, right? It kind of makes you, you know, tough in your own way and find the real you. Like, I was always a funny person growing up, you know, I was always class clown and stuff, but I would get accidentally hilarious when I was a bartender. When I was slammed, and stuff would just come out of me, you know, that would kill. And I'd be like, I was just being serious. What, that was funny? Like, I remember being so busy, in the weeds, as we call it in the industry, the folks here know, I lost my sight. Like, I don't know if it was sweat in my eyes, I don't know if I was dehydrated, but my eyesight went blurry, and all I saw were colors and shapes. That's it. And I'm just pushing drinks out and hoping I'm making the right change and feeling credit cards like Braille to see who it is. You know, it was awful. And then some dick somewhere in front of me goes, "Am I invisible?" And I said sincerely, "Who said that?" And the whole bar cracked up. And I'm like, "Yeah, throw him out." And they did. The guy's like, "Hey!" Threw him out the door. I am Caligula.
The only way I found out that we were not as wealthy as I thought was the first time I went over to a slightly richer family's house for Thanksgiving, and we all sat on the same kind of chair. I was blown away. I was like, "You've got 11 of this one chair type? Are you secretly a duke of some sort?" Like, every holiday meal at my house would be like, "Ivan, go get the computer chair for Grandma." I'm dragging it down the hall. "I wanted the computer chair." My mom's yelling out of the kitchen, "No chance. You are sharing the piano bench with your brother." And you know it. We didn't have a piano, by the way. It's just the bench. My uncle's at the end of the table sitting on a yoga ball. Got a hole in it nobody can find, so he's slowly sinking for the entire meal. And I was like, I don't think we're as rich as I thought. So this was a problem, of course, when it came to buying a diamond ring. I didn't know anything about it. I knew I had to go to a jewelry store. I knew that I was going to interact with a commission salesperson at that store, which I was nervous about because I'm uncomfortable around commission salespeople. I'm very easily bamboozled by their tricks. I'm sure you can all tell this from my general vibe. Anybody watching this that works in sales, as soon as I walked up here, thought to themselves, "This guy buys extended warranties." I know what I look like. I don't exactly know the kind of energy I give off on a first impression. I do know that it means if I go to any type of ethnic restaurant, it is a 100% guarantee that I will be cautioned about spice. It's not easy getting a medium with this face. Yeah, I'll have a medium. No, you won't. Not here, you won't. You had our medium? I doubt it. Guy looked like you got a medium yesterday. We had to call an ambulance. So you can have a mild and a milk. There's a lot of things I wish I knew going into this jewelry store. Number one thing I wish I knew about buying an engagement ring is you don't get to take the ring home from the store that day. Whoops, wish I knew that. They gotta make it the right size. So I just drove to the mall, maxed out my credit card, and then drove home with nothing. Like, gee, I sure hope they call. But they did call. I got lucky, I guess. I go back to pick up the ring. This is where it gets weird again. I show up, I was like, "Hi, my name's Ivan. You said my ring was ready?" And the guy goes, "Oh, yeah, okay." Then he goes in the back, he comes out. He's got the ring in a tiny Ziploc bag, like it was evidence in a murder. And he tried to hand it to me like that. I didn't even accept it. And he goes, "Oh, do you need a box?" Yeah. Who's proposing without the box? That's the whole thing. How smooth of a guy do you think I am that I'm gonna kneel down and just dangle that out there like, "Babe!" You want to stay together till we're dead? They wrote my name on here in pen. Could be your name.
So we were at a restaurant. We were at a vegetarian restaurant. Lot of people. I didn't know all of them. And I did. We're there with a group, and I made the mistake of casually mentioning I was not vegetarian. And this one dude, most people are cool. One dude, what? You'll eat a steak? Yeah. Oh, but you don't want to watch them murder the cow. Nailed it. I love my brother. I don't want to watch my parents. You don't have to drag everything back to the point where it's awful. Everything is awful eventually. So I know a couple from back home, back east. The husband did not get vaccinated. The wife did get vaccinated. The husband got COVID. The wife did not get COVID. Do you know why? Because the husband was standing in front of the wife when the wind blew the COVID at them. You can be wrong. It's okay. When did that become illegal? You can make a mistake. You don't lose time off of your life. I was at a yard sale, not to brag. Yeah, I'm a big shot. I go to yard sales. No, we're at a yard sale, and there was this stack of old People magazines. People magazines that were old, not Old People magazine. Not like Matlock Watcher, Denture Enthusiast, and my favorite, Extremely Legal. And there was a People magazine from 1986, and the cover story was, "The Most Respected Man in America, Reader's Poll." You know who it was? Bill Cosby. Reagan came in second. True. We made a mistake. We didn't know. He was the most respected man in America. And then he went to prison. And then they let him out. I think they were afraid he was going to commit suicidalisms. I went to high school in the 1980s. Every guy in my graduating class had a mullet. Seemed like a good idea at the time. You look in my yearbook now, it looks like I went to high school with a lesbian separatist militia. One day we'll be like that about vaping. Seemed like a good idea. The great taste of steam. And the ultimate example of we didn't know. Michael Jackson. We didn't know. And he didn't give us any signs. Who would have thought that a glow-in-the-dark skeleton who dressed like Napoleon and lived by himself in an abandoned amusement park with other people's children and a feral chimp would have such a creepy dark side? So I was in the airport the other day, and I see this really sweet sight. I see a woman, she's walking with her little boy, and the little boy is walking with his little dog. And it was just like, boop, boop, boop. It was so sweet. And the only thing that was interesting about it to me was that the woman was covered in tattoos, just completely sleeved on both arms, huge plate across her back. And I understand that's normal now. That's culture. I'm just glad it wasn't culture when I was that little boy. Just thinking about the tats my mom would have gotten. Pack of merits in an astrology magazine. Big Gothic font across her chest. Can I have 5 goddamn minutes to myself, please? And don't think I'm not going to tell your father what you did when he gets home from work. Although God knows when that's going to be. Because it's Thursday night and he got his paycheck. So he's down at the bar with his friends, buying everybody rounds like we got all the money in the world. And then he's going to come home and to me that we're broke. Like I haven't seen a $20 bill since Johnson was the president. I'm sorry, Mrs. Gould, we're all out of back. Well, find somebody else. I'm still angry.
Now, I don't want to be controversial, but I actually think that sports are a treacherous place for little girls. You know, like, I played volleyball against OJ's daughter growing up. Trae, I'm still alive. No, I did. I played volleyball against OJ's daughter growing up after he got out of jail the first time for murder. It was crazy. He came to like all the games for 2 years after. And I'll tell you what, it was wild being 10 years old and seeing him on the sidelines. Because sometimes after I would score, I'd just look over at him and be like, wow, we're both killers.
My entourage, my grandma and her friends, yeah, they're in their 90s, dude. You don't feel old around them. Like when I turned 40, I had a panic attack. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it, I'm 40. Around them, they're like, what? What? You're just a child. You're still a child. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still a child. But I feel bad for them because they don't have that in their life. Like when they turn 90, they don't have anybody making them feel better. Like they don't have a friend that's like 150 to tell them that, you know what I mean? When they're like, I can't believe it. I am 90. They don't have a 150-year-old friend like,
So this happened to me. I was driving by my middle school, and this was a memory from 6th grade, where my 6th grade teacher, she was our Spanish teacher, and she would like make the white kids change their first names to Hispanic names. What was that? Does it help you learn? It's like, okay, so I'm a Jose now? I don't understand. I'm going through puberty. I have enough of an identity crisis as it is. But my best friend Jeff, he didn't play ball. On his name tag, he wrote Mr. Goodbar. Like the candy bar. And here's the memory. My teacher sees it, and she lost her mind, and she goes, you can't call yourself Mr. Goodbar! And he goes, why not? And she goes, because Mr. Goodbar is a porn star! And I'm like, there's no way I'm remembering that correctly. So I looked it up. And it turns out Mr. Goodbar was a very famous porn star in the 80s. But we didn't know that. Because we were 11 years old. Senorita Pregunta. If I may, one pregunta. Como se dice too horny to teach? How do you say that?
And so I have like 4 old dude male comic friends who I swear to God are nice enough guys. But they have recently said to me that you can't even flirt anymore, man. You can't even flirt. You talk to a woman, she thinks you're harassing her. And I have this to say. Are you sure you're flirting? Because I've never flirted in my life. I am married, but not because of any interpersonal skills, right? I'm married because of online dating. Online dating is the last bastion of you can go somewhere and look at each other and both of you go, well, I would make out with that. Would you make out with this? And then you move forward from there. And that's why I'm married. Prior to internet dating, I had 2 ways of hitting on guys, and one of them was stone cold sober. If I liked a guy, I would stand next to him for years. Absolutely never successful. Second way, I'd get liquored up. I'd go to the bar. I'd walk up to any promising dude and go, this needs a tune-up. You want in? Neither one of those is flirting. One of them is harassment. Right here. How do we know? How do we know? Because of how the men would respond. That's how we know. Almost all of them said, ew, no. And then some of them said, sure? We then proceeded to have what can only be called consensual but regrettable sex. I don't know. And then I looked up the definition of flirting. Flirting is harassment. That's the definition. It's either successful harassment or unsuccessful harassment. The best definition of flirting I read was this one: an interaction with another person wherein you make the other person feel good about themselves. Ooh. Who's doing that? And then I realized who's doing that, and it's my dad. My father is an aluminum siding salesman. Though vinyl is final, steel is for real. Still selling Cayton-Holland, Milwaukee, windows, doors, anything you need, roofing. But I recently found out that he hit on one of my best friends, Maria Bamford, at my wedding. Now, in his defense, at my wedding, Maria Bamford was a tiny 35-year-old blonde woman, which is his favorite kind of person. But she told me this, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And she said, don't be sorry. He didn't touch me. He didn't even say anything weird. I just got the impression that he thought I was pretty. I was like, that's that crazy definition of flirting. How did he do it? She goes, I have no idea. So, the last time I was home, I had dinner with my dad, and then I had breakfast with my dad. And at breakfast, I said, you hit on Maria Bamford using some weird skill. What was it? He was like, it's a sales technique, Jackie. It's called the post-close warm-up. I've been trying to teach all you kids how to do it since you were born. Is anyone listening to me? He said, I hit on the waitress. We went out to dinner last night. We hit on the waitress last night using the post-close warm-up. You were there. And I was like, I remember you hitting on the waitress, Dad. I also remember it not being successful. And he goes, it's not always going to be successful. It's a waitress. That is a hostage situation. She keeps going away. You can't build any kind of momentum, but you got to practice on someone. By the way, going to dinner with your 84-year-old father in Milwaukee, we're talking Outback, 4:30. Okay. The waitress came to the table. My father looked at the waitress and said, you are very good looking. You look very familiar. Are you an actress? You are very good looking. You look very familiar. Are you an actress? And she said, no, I'm a waitress. What would you like to drink? He got the coffee. She goes away. She comes back. My dad goes, you just seem so familiar to me. I feel a connection with you. Maybe we've met before. And she goes, maybe. I meet a lot of people. What would you like to eat? He got the steak. She goes away. She comes back at the end of the meal. My father goes, well, it's been very nice meeting you. I hope I see you around again. And she goes, maybe. Here's the bill. Now, there are 3 beats to this thing. The first beat you say in a non-threatening general way, well played. Nice work. Second beat, you say, I feel a connection with you. I'm kind of sorry we've never met before. Third beat, my dad's like, very important. Third beat, you gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. You give it a shot. You say, well, it's been very nice meeting you. I hope I see you around again. If she's interested, she will talk more to you. You will start another round, and eventually, you will sell that woman windows. I love my father a great deal. And if you were to look at him objectively, actually, I don't recommend that. I recommend you look at him subjectively through the love in my eyes, because he's very smart, he's very good with money, he loves talking to people. Actually, like 3 weeks ago, he calls me up and he's like, so I'm watching TV, and at the commercial, there's an opportunity to get a free $100 square pillow. I was like, yeah? He goes, yeah. So I called him up and I was like, I'd like my free square pillow. And he said, well, give us your information. I did. I hung up. Moments later, guy calls back, different guy, to sell me a $6,000 electric bed. And I was like, yeah, that's what that's for, Dad. He's like, I know. I talked to him for like 90 minutes. And it was great, $6,000 electric bed. Talked him down to $3,600. And then he finally said, you know, give me $100 over the phone and then send me $100 a month. We'll bring the bed over to your apartment. And I said, you know, I'm 84. I'm going in tomorrow for heart surgery. If I live, I'll call you back. Click. So he's like, the guy was a pretty good salesman. I think I saved like 3 old people having to talk to that guy. He's very good at a lot of different things. Like he's my brother Russ, who lives in Milwaukee, hangs out with him all the time. He's like, sometimes Dad will tell me that if I get a certain stock in like a week and a half, I can turn it around and make like 10 grand. And I remember the first time he told me that, I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, you should. Don't bother though. And my brother Russ is like, why wouldn't I? No, I want to make 10,000. Why wouldn't I do that? He's like, well, there's not really fun in that. It's because you could make $250,000 if you invest in this other stock. And some sort of mousetrappy kind of Rube Goldberg thing happened, where like a swan came by and rolling a bowling ball. You could make like $250,000. And my brother Russ goes, I think I'm just gonna do the $10,000 thing, Dad. And my dad's like, it's boring, but okay. So he's done it like 6 times, and he has like a Scrooge McDuck pile of money. And I was like, hey, Russ, you got 5 siblings over here. When Dad tells you something like that, why don't you call the rest of us? And my brother Russ goes, why don't you call your dad more often? He's not wrong. I did call my dad not long ago, and I was talking to him, and I said, I just making conversation. And I said, I turned down a gig. And he goes, you just turned it down. And I said, yeah, didn't want to do it, Dad. And he goes, what was the first thing I taught you? And I was mad because I didn't like his tone of voice. And so I said, I don't know, pick up other people's change. And he became very angry since he's never said that. He said, no, the first thing I taught you all was never say no without a number. And I was like, that does sound familiar. What the heck does it mean? He goes, you don't say no. You say, I'd love to do that. I'm going to need, and then you pick a giant number. And I was like, 17 grand. He's like, that's a good number. He's like, odd number, strong. He's like, I would love to do that. I'm going to need $17,000. And then they say, oh my gosh, we don't have $17,000. And then you say back, well, thank you so much for thinking of me. If your budget ever goes up, keep me in mind. But know that my prices are always rising. So you can turn it down in perpetuity. And I was like, that's the greatest thing in the world. I'm totally going to do that. And I tried to do it, and I did it wrong. I asked for $2,000, and I got it. So I called my dad, and I said, never say no without a number didn't work, Dad. And he goes, yeah, every experience is a learning experience. What'd you ask for? And I said, $2,000. He said, no, you know what you learned? Everyone has $2,000. Yes. And now I have $2,000, but I have to go to Montana in February. My dad is very much an old school capitalist, right? He thinks that there are tools on the table. You either use them or they get used against you. Actually, in his case, there's a third option. He is bored and he uses them on your behalf. It is a lot like trying to iron something poorly in front of your mother, and then she takes the iron and does it for you. That's what happened. My dad lives in what he calls an old people apartment building, and I was like, Dad, you're 84. What's old to you? And he goes, dead. Dead is old. Any day of the week, you can get a free DVD player in this building. And, he says, okay, so I'm walking by the common area, and inside the common area, there's an old guy, like 94, 95 years old. He had just gotten out of the hospital. He had just had surgery, and he has Medicare. He has secondary insurance, but he was kind of freaking out. He was almost crying because he had gotten 2 more bills, one from the hospital, one from the surgeon, for more money, for like 30 grand, 35 grand, and he was really upset. My dad pauses, and he goes, can you believe people think they got to pay hospital bills? And I was like, Dad, they're bills. People pay bills. And he's like, not a hospital. You die owing a hospital money. That's a win right there. You send them $5 a month. You're trying. They can't do anything. Can't put a lien on anything or garnish your wages. And if that hospital gets any kind of federal funding, they have to do a certain amount of sliding fee scale billing. They don't want to give you the paperwork, but eventually, I'm like, pardon me, Mr. Incredible, while I take notes and tell several hundred people in Minnesota. You ever see The Incredibles? The most heroic moment of The Incredibles was when that guy finds that paperwork for that old lady. And the rest of the movie, quite nice. But that movie, heroic. Okay. My dad says, I can't handle it. So I go in and I tell the guy, I'm like, get the bills, get your checkbook, we'll come into my apartment, we'll take care of this. So they go back into my dad's apartment, and then my dad gets to call the hospital billing. Fun! It's his favorite thing. So he calls the hospital billing, and he's talking to this woman. He's like, I'm talking to this woman, and I was like, so my buddy owes you $17,000. I'm sitting next to him. You're never going to see this money. And the hospital billing lady's like, but he was in the hospital. And my dad's like, you've already been paid twice. Medicare, secondary insurance, you're triple dipping. I'm sitting right next to him. He's not going to make it. He's barely sitting up. He was in the hospital just a minute ago. Did you know that? The woman goes, he's not going to make it? Well, could he give us like $600 over the phone with a routing number and then we'll write it off? And my dad's like, yeah, we could totally do that. So they give him a routing number and they hang up. And my dad goes, now we're going to go talk to the surgeon. He's right here in Milwaukee. I'll drive. Lincoln Town Car, 99. They get into the car at around 4:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday. They drive to the surgeon's office. And my dad goes into the surgeon's office. He goes up to the receptionist and says, my buddy owes you 15 grand. He's here. He's got his checkbook. We'd love to talk to the surgeon. The receptionist is like, please come and sit down. So it's 4 to 5 on a Thursday. And my dad is like, starts in with the surgeon. He's like, yeah, you're never going to see this money. Look at this guy. He can barely sit up. He just had surgery. And the surgeon's like, but I did the surgery. He's like, you're triple dipping. You're never going to see this money. Surgeon lasted almost an hour 15. Finally said, give me $200, get the heck out of my office. So they write the check. And they're driving home. And my dad goes, so we're driving home. And I say to the old guy, let's stop at McDonald's and get a senior coffee. You could buy me a senior coffee. Get this, guy would not buy me a senior coffee. 59-cent senior coffee, guy wouldn't do it. And I was like, Dad, why would that guy want to spend another heartbeat with you? You just spent 5 hours telling anyone who would listen that he was a dead person. He's like, yeah, but I just saved him like 30 grand. And I was like, did you do it for the coffee? And he's like, yeah. I don't need to get paid a lot. I just need something. Anyway. My father he's a good guy. When I had breakfast with him, he said, you know, your Uncle Johnny's son Jimmy has the dream job. And I was like, yeah? You know, I'm on TV sometimes, Dad. What's the dream job? And he goes, he drives a cement truck. I was like, wait, that's the dream job? And he goes, yeah, you know the truck that spins? He gets to drive that truck. I was like, yeah, that's the dream job? He said, yeah, he gets to drive up into buildings and pour cement. I'm like, wait, driving a cement truck is the dream job. And my dad goes, it's the truck that spins, Jackie. So inside of my very sophisticated 84-year-old father is a toddler who would desperately like to drive a concrete mixer. I have been corrected.